The real challenge of life aboard a submarine isn't just the physical limitations, it's the mental and emotional pressure. Imagine being completely cut off from daylight for months on end. There's no horizon, no sun to mark the passage of time. Days blur together, and weeks can vanish without a single indication. Your internal clock, your circadian rhythm, begins to warp. Fatigue isn't just occasional, it's constant. Sleep is hard to come by, even during those long 12-hour rest periods. The constant vibration and hum of machinery seep into your bones, and trying to rest next to the engine room can feel impossible. Isolation runs deep. Submariners can't call home whenever they want. Emails aren't instant. Families send messages through a single, heavily monitored point of contact, and sometimes weeks go by before a sailor even sees a note from a loved one. If a child is born or a family member dies, the news may not reach them in real time. The commanding officers must weigh whether surfacing the boat to allow communication is worth the operational risk. Mental health is a top priority, but it's also one of the hardest things to manage under these conditions. Anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion are constant threats, especially during long missions far from the surface. The Navy screens potential submariners extensively for psychological resilience, but even the strongest individuals can struggle. There's a saying among sailors: the boat finds your weaknesses. Claustrophobia, irritability, or the slow grind of stress. All of it can intensify in the confined, pressurized environment. Over time, the submarine can feel like a pressure cooker, not just metaphorically, but almost physically, as the weight of the water outside and the demands of life inside press on the crew. Physical challenges are just as relentless. On a submarine, oxygen is generated by machinery, and a single mechanical failure could be catastrophic. Air quality is strictly monitored. Carbon dioxide scrubbers maintain breathable air, but levels are never quite what you'd find above water. Headaches, fatigue, and lethargy are common, and the lack of sunlight prevents natural vitamin D absorption. Exercise is limited to a small room, maybe the size of a walk-in closet, with a treadmill or stationary bike squeezed in. But staying fit isn't just for comfort, it's survival. In an emergency, a sailor might have to carry a shipmate, move heavy equipment, or climb through hatches in a split second. Physical preparedness can literally save lives. Hygiene is a constant balancing act. Fresh water is created on board through desalination, but it's rationed. Showers are short, sometimes cold, and personal space is non-existent. Every odor, every scent is amplified in the recycled air. Sailors live in close quarters, shoulder to shoulder, day after day. Patience is tested constantly. Fights are rare, but tempers can flare. Discipline is strict, because one careless move can jeopardize the entire crew. Yet camaraderie is one of the defining traits of submarine life. The shared hardships create bonds that are hard to replicate anywhere else. Trust isn't optional, it's essential. Every person is trained in emergency procedures, damage control, and survival. If a fire breaks out, a compartment floods, or the reactor has a malfunction, every second counts, and everyone must act together. The dangers aren't abstract, they're real. Submarines operate under extreme pressures. At their maximum depth, which is classified, the water outside exerts forces strong enough to crush steel like paper. A single leak, a minor miscalculation, or a neglected maintenance issue could be fatal. Fires are especially dangerous because smoke spreads quickly through confined spaces, and a small blaze can become life-threatening in moments. Flooding is just as deadly, leaving almost no margin for error. That's why drills are constant, and training is intense. Alarms could sound at any time, demanding immediate action to isolate a problem, seal off compartments, and contain damage. There's no fire department waiting to arrive, no helicopter rescue in time, the crew is alone, and they know it. Stealth is another constant concern. Even though submarines are designed to be silent, they're not invulnerable. Modern Russian and Chinese subs are advancing rapidly, and the ocean is increasingly contested. Submariners play a deadly game of cat and mouse, tracking adversaries while ensuring they themselves remain undetected. One ping from enemy sonar can mean disaster. Silence isn't just a tactic, it's survival. Machinery is insulated, crew movements are regulated, and even conversations are hushed. The quiet war beneath the waves requires patience, precision, and nerves of steel. Despite all this pressure, many sailors say life aboard a submarine is one of the most rewarding experiences imaginable. There's pride in mastering such a challenging environment. The training is grueling, the mission's classified, and the stakes incredibly high. Operating beneath the ocean's surface, where every sound, every decision matters, gives a sense of purpose, unlike anything on land. And when the sub finally returns to port, when the hatch opens and sunlight floods in, sailors emerge changed stronger, more disciplined, and deeply bonded to their crew. Life on a submarine has a rhythm all its own, a strange mix of precision, repetition, and sudden chaos. There's no sunlight to mark the day, no waves to hint at the passing of time. Instead, the crew lives by the sub's clock, a rigid schedule designed to keep everyone alert, rested, and ready for anything. Typically, it's 6 hours on duty, 12 hours off, cycling relentlessly, day after day, week after week. On the surface, it might sound simple, even boring, but under the sea, That routine becomes everything. It's how people survive, how the boat functions, how lives are saved. Every inch of the submarine is used. There's no wasted space. Hallways are narrow, compartments stacked with machinery, valves, and electronics that would be intimidating even to engineers on land. Sailors move through the corridors like clockwork, each knowing exactly where to be, what to check, and how to react if something goes wrong. Sleeping arrangements are a lesson in efficiency and endurance. Bunks are stacked 3 high, sometimes only inches apart. Privacy doesn't exist, and personal space is a luxury. On longer missions, the crew rotates through hot racks, 2 sailors sharing 3 bunks. One climbs out to take their watch, the next slides in, still warm, and the cycle continues. It's not comfortable, but everyone adjusts because it's necessary. Meals are another fascinating part of submarine life. At the beginning of a deployment, the galley feels almost like a 5-star kitchen squeezed into a tiny room. Chefs trained in the Navy's best culinary programs whip up meals that can rival some restaurants on land: steaks, lasagna, fresh bread, even desserts. It's a morale booster, a reminder of the world outside the steel tube. But it doesn't last forever. Fresh produce disappears within the first few weeks, and the menu slowly shifts to frozen, canned, or dehydrated ingredients. That's just part of the submarine experience, adapting to constraints, and still finding ways to keep the crew happy, fueled, and ready. Eating well is not just about enjoyment, it's about keeping morale and energy up in an environment that constantly tests the body and mind. Even in the best of conditions, submarine life is mentally exhausting. The constant hum of machinery, the vibrations that seem to creep into your very bones, and the lack of natural daylight can mess with your head. Sailors learn to manage fatigue, but it's a constant battle. Sleep might come in short bursts. Naps are precious, and yet, even with exhaustion pressing down, everyone knows their duties must be done perfectly. One small mistake can have catastrophic consequences. From monitoring the reactor to handling delicate electronics or managing navigation systems, the margin for error is razor thin. It's high-stakes work, every single day. Isolation stretches further than just the absence of sunlight. Communication with the outside world is minimal, controlled, and delayed. Letters from loved ones might arrive days or weeks late, filtered through command. If something major happens, a wedding, a birth, a death, the crew might not hear until much later. That's the reality of operating far below the surface. The world above exists, but it's a distant reality. Mental health programs exist, and the Navy trains the crew extensively to handle stress. But even the best prepared individuals sometimes struggle. The combination of confinement, long hours, and the constant hum of danger can weigh on anyone. Despite these challenges, there's camaraderie that's impossible to replicate anywhere else. People learn to rely on one another completely. The bonds formed under these conditions are deep and immediate. It's more than teamwork, it's survival. Every sailor knows that trust isn't optional. It's literally the difference between life and death. Fire drills, flooding simulations, reactor emergencies, and rapid response protocols are drilled constantly. Everyone knows exactly what to do because there's no room for hesitation. In the confined corridors and crowded compartments, efficiency and trust aren't just values, they're essential. Submarine operations themselves are incredible feats of coordination and technology. These vessels are marvels of engineering, designed to move silently through the ocean, evading detection while gathering intelligence and maintaining readiness. Attack submarines are fast and agile, equipped with torpedoes and cruise missiles, patrolling in strategic areas and sometimes engaging in covert operations. Ballistic missile submarines carry nuclear payloads, the ultimate deterrent, hidden beneath the waves, ready to strike if the unthinkable happens. But no technology can function without the crew. Every lever pulled, every system monitored, every check performed is the product of human diligence under extreme conditions. Even the small things take on a new level of importance. Routines like monitoring gauges, maintaining air quality, checking seals, and keeping the boat clean might seem mundane, but in the depths of the ocean, every task matters. Every action is amplified by consequence. Sailors move through these routines with a kind of quiet precision that comes only from months of practice and the understanding that their actions protect hundreds of lives. It's repetitive, yes, but it's also deeply rewarding. There's a sense of mastery that comes from living in such a constrained, high-stakes environment. Operating a submarine isn't just about keeping the boat running, it's about staying invisible. Silence is everything. The ocean might seem vast and forgiving from above, but down below, it's a constant pressure cooker. Every sound can give away your position, and even the smallest noise can alert an enemy to your presence. That's why submariners move deliberately, almost like dancers, with each step calculated. Crew members are trained to be quiet at all times. Conversations are hushed, doors are handled gently, and machinery is insulated to prevent the faintest rattle. Even breathing is sometimes adjusted to reduce background noise. The ocean is full of threats. Natural ones, like the crushing pressure at thousands of feet below the surface, can easily end a mission if the submarine's hull is compromised. Submarines are designed to withstand these forces, but there's no margin for complacency. Just a tiny leak, a miscalculation in depth, or a failure in the hull's integrity could spell disaster in seconds. Then there's the human-made danger. Other nations' submarines, sonar arrays, and patrols that are constantly looking for you. Modern adversaries are smarter, faster, and better equipped than ever before. Submariners often find themselves playing a deadly game of cat and mouse, tracking enemy vessels while simultaneously making sure they aren't being tracked themselves. One wrong move, one ping detected, and the mission could be compromised, or worse, lives lost. Submarines are equipped to handle a variety of emergencies, but the crew is always the critical factor. Fire, flooding, or reactor malfunction doesn't wait for help from the surface. There's no rescue helicopter hovering nearby. If something goes wrong, the people inside are all that stand between safety and disaster. Training drills are constant, and every sailor must know their responsibilities by heart. In a fire, they must seal compartments, ventilate smoke, and ensure oxygen levels remain safe. If water begins to flood a section, every hand is on deck to stop the spread. In the reactor room, any error could escalate quickly. Each drill, each check, and each moment of attention to detail reinforces the simple truth of submarine life. Vigilance is survival. The mental aspect of this tension can be just as challenging as the physical dangers. Living in total isolation, knowing that a minor mistake could have catastrophic consequences, can grind down even the most disciplined minds. Submariners are trained to compartmentalize, to focus on tasks while keeping anxiety and fear in check. Yet, the isolation can still creep in. Even the most experienced crew members must guard against stress, depression, or burnout. The lack of sunlight, limited social interaction, and endless hum of machinery can distort perception. Sailors develop a keen awareness of one another, watching for signs that someone is struggling, offering support, or stepping in when a hand is needed. The sense of community becomes a lifeline, even more essential than the systems that keep the submarine afloat. Submarine warfare itself is a high-stakes blend of patience, skill, and nerve. Attack submarines move stealthily, often for days without surfacing, monitoring enemy movements, gathering intelligence, or preparing for potential engagement. Ballistic missile submarines operate on an entirely different level. Their mission is deterrence. Just being undetected is a form of power. The crew must ensure the vessel is ready to respond to a national crisis at any moment. Yet, they do it quietly, almost invisibly, often spending months without ever being seen by anyone outside the Navy. The silent nature of these missions can feel surreal. The crew is essentially invisible, but every action carries enormous weight. Life inside the submarine also demands incredible adaptability. Machinery hums, alarms sound unexpectedly, and the environment itself is unpredictable. Sailors learn to respond instinctively, switching from routine to emergency mode in seconds. They cross-train endlessly, learning to repair a broken valve, fight a fire, or reroute systems without hesitation. The human brain is just as vital as the nuclear reactors or sonar systems on board. Every decision, every action, contributes to the safety of the crew and the success of the mission. It's an environment where mistakes are magnified and excellence is expected. Despite the danger and tension, there's a strange beauty to life beneath the waves. Outside the submarine, the ocean is dark and mysterious, teeming with life that sailors rarely see but know exists. The feeling of being submerged, isolated, yet connected to something massive and alive is humbling. Each mission is a blend of science, skill, and human endurance. Submariners aren't just operating a vessel, they're guardians of a strategic frontier, operating in an environment where very few people can survive, let alone thrive. Even when the worst happens, the crew relies on preparation, training, and one another. There's no panic, no chaos that lasts long. Everything aboard a submarine is controlled by procedure, discipline, and trust. Emergencies are met with precision, because failure isn't an option. Over time, the intensity of this life becomes a source of pride. Submariners understand their place in something larger than themselves. They're part of a silent force that protects millions, unseen but crucial. Even with all the challenges, life aboard a submarine isn't just stress and tension. There's a unique camaraderie that forms among the crew, a bond that's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't lived it. When you spend months in close quarters, relying on the same people to keep you alive, trust isn't optional, it's essential. Sailors develop a deep understanding of one another, knowing when someone needs a word of encouragement, a quick check-in, or just space to decompress. That kind of connection can be life-saving. It's not just about friendship, it's about survival, about knowing that every single person around you has your back no matter what. Daily routines may seem mundane, but they form the backbone of life in a submarine. The rhythm of the day, though artificial compared to the world above, creates stability. Meals, watch rotations, maintenance checks, and drills are all tightly scheduled. Yet within this strict structure, sailors find ways to connect, joke, and maintain morale. A shared laugh in the mess hall, a quick story swapped while fixing machinery, or even just a nod of encouragement during a long watch. These small moments matter more than anyone on the surface might realize. They're the glue that holds the crew together, the human warmth in an environment otherwise defined by steel and pressure. The pride that comes from serving on a submarine runs deep. These vessels are some of the most advanced and powerful machines ever built, and the people inside are elite. Becoming a submariner is no small feat. Sailors endure intense training, rigorous evaluations, and months of preparation before they ever step aboard. The knowledge that they are part of something vital, something unseen by most but critical to national security, gives a sense of purpose that few other jobs can match. It's a mix of humility and pride, knowing the work is quiet and largely invisible, yet understanding its impact is enormous. There's also a unique kind of fulfillment that comes from mastering such a difficult environment. Submariners quickly learn that life aboard is a test of patience, skill, and endurance. Every task, from routine maintenance to emergency drills, requires focus and precision. Even seemingly small actions, like adjusting a valve or checking oxygen levels, can have outsized consequences. Sailors take pride in knowing that their training and attention to detail can prevent disaster and protect lives. That sense of competence, built through hours of practice and countless challenges, is deeply rewarding. Despite the long stretches underwater, there are moments of awe and reflection. Looking at monitors, seeing the world outside in sonar echoes, or simply standing in the quiet of the control room, sailors often feel a profound connection to both the vessel and the ocean around them. It's easy to forget, for a moment, the immense pressure, the isolation, and the danger. In those rare instances of calm, the submarine feels less like a machine and more like a living, breathing entity. Sailors describe a sense of harmony with the vessel, a rhythm that matches the heartbeat of the crew and the pulse of the ocean. The sense of accomplishment is heightened by the extreme nature of the work. Missions often last weeks or months, with no contact with the outside world. The crew navigates vast stretches of ocean, monitors foreign vessels, and stands ready to respond to emergencies, all while remaining undetected. That combination of stealth, skill, and endurance creates a unique professional pride. It's a quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you've been tested and succeeded under conditions few people could handle. Returning to port after a long deployment is never about fanfare or headlines. Instead, it's the simple acknowledgement of a mission completed, a team kept safe, and a critical role fulfilled. Even leisure and downtime are redefined in a submarine. With no internet or outside distractions, crew members find ways to entertain themselves and connect. Board games, card games, movies, or just conversations in the mess hall become cherished routines. These moments of normalcy are vital. They break up the monotony and help maintain mental health. They remind sailors that even in a machine built for war and endurance, there's space for humanity, laughter, and personal connection. Finally, there's a profound sense of belonging. Submariners are part of a unique community, often referred to as the silent service for a reason. Their work is largely invisible, but it's essential. The pride of wearing the uniform, earning the dolphins, and knowing they are part of an elite group of service members fosters loyalty and identity. That bond, both to the vessel and to fellow crew members, is enduring. Even after leaving the submarine, many former sailors describe feeling a lasting connection to their time beneath the waves, the lessons learned, and the people they served alongside. Life on a submarine is challenging, intense, and often isolating. Yet it's also deeply rewarding. The combination of danger, skill, and camaraderie creates an experience unlike any other. Sailors who endure it develop resilience, confidence, and an understanding of themselves and their colleagues that few professions can match. For those who embrace it, life aboard a submarine is more than a job. It's a calling, a unique adventure that pushes the limits of human endurance, teamwork, and courage. Looking ahead, submarine warfare isn't slowing down, it's evolving. As rival nations invest in their own underwater fleets, the U.S. is pushing forward with next-generation submarines that are quieter, smarter, and more capable than ever. New platforms like the Columbia-class ballistic missile submarines promise greater endurance, improved stealth, and advanced missile systems. Virginia-class attack submarines are also getting upgrades, including cutting-edge sonar, quieter propulsion, and the ability to operate in more contested waters. These improvements make submarines not just powerful, but incredibly hard to detect, ensuring they remain a key component of national defense. Technology is impressive, but it's only part of the story. The human element, trained, disciplined, and resilient sailors, remains just as vital. No matter how advanced a submarine systems become, it still takes people to operate them, maintain them, and respond to emergencies. Sailors need to know how every pipe, valve, and machine works, because in a high-pressure situation, mistakes aren't an option. Cross-training ensures that each crew member can step into multiple roles, keeping the submarine safe and functional no matter what happens. The machine is powerful, but it's the people inside that make it reliable. Modern submarines are built to stay underwater for months at a time, and that requires more than just machinery. Crews must be prepared to handle isolation, stress, and fatigue in ways that are both physical and psychological. Naval leadership continues to prioritize mental health, providing support and strategies to manage the long stretches away from the surface. Sailors are trained to recognize signs of burnout in themselves and each other, and the importance of teamwork and morale has never been higher. After all, a submarine is only as strong as its crew, and when that crew works together effectively, they become a unit capable of facing almost any challenge. Even as technology advances, the core of submarine life stays surprisingly consistent. The daily routines, the watches, the drills, and the shared meals all form the rhythm of life underwater. Those routines aren't just practical, they're essential. They give structure to a world where time is otherwise meaningless, and they build a sense of order amid the chaos of operating in a high-risk, enclosed environment. Newer submarines may be sleeker, faster, and smarter, but the human experience, the boredom, the pressure, the small triumphs, and camaraderie remains timeless. The strategic importance of submarines is also growing. In today's world, with satellites tracking every move above water and drones buzzing through contested airspace, submarines are the ultimate silent operators. They provide a deterrent, gather intelligence, and, if necessary, deliver a decisive response, all without revealing their position. Being undetected is their greatest weapon. They operate in shadows, unseen but vital, and their very existence changes the calculations of potential adversaries. Sailors on these vessels understand that their work is invisible, but incredibly consequential. The missions might be secret, but the stakes are real. Returning from a deployment is a quiet affair, just like the work itself. There are no grand parades or media coverage, just the slow hiss of the hatch opening and the sight of sunlight after weeks or months in darkness. Sailors emerge changed, both by the experience and by the reliance they've built with their shipmates. They've faced isolation, danger, and immense responsibility together, forming bonds that are hard to replicate in any other environment. And while the world above may never fully see or understand their work, the pride of having done it, of having kept the nation safe from the depths, is enough. Life on a nuclear submarine, 0 feet below the surface, is not for everyone. It demands mental toughness, physical endurance, and the ability to live and work in extreme conditions. But for those who choose it, it offers a unique sense of purpose and accomplishment. Every watch, every maintenance check, every quiet moment in the control room contributes to a mission larger than any one person. A mission that protects lives and maintains strategic balance. The technology, the drills, and the discipline all serve one goal: keeping the submarine operational and the nation secure. In the coming years, as submarines become more advanced and global tensions evolve, the role of the silent service will only become more critical. Sailors will continue to operate in extreme isolation, rely on their training, and maintain the delicate balance between life and danger beneath the waves. The next generation of submariners will face new challenges and new technology, but the essence of the job will remain the same: teamwork, trust, and mastery of a demanding, unseen environment. At the end of the day, a submarine is more than a machine. It's a floating ecosystem of human skill, discipline, and endurance. Every inch of it, from the engine room to the galley, serves a purpose, and every sailor aboard contributes to its operation. Living 0 feet below the ocean, cut off from the outside world, surrounded by the constant hum of machinery and the pressure of the deep, sailors find a life that's both demanding and uniquely rewarding. It's a life defined by silence, by steel, and by a commitment to something far larger than themselves. For those willing to take on the challenge, life inside a nuclear submarine offers a rare perspective: the ocean as a vast, silent partner, the crew as a trusted family, and every mission as a test of skill, endurance, and courage. It's a world hidden from view, operating quietly but decisively. A reminder that some of the most important work is done in the shadows, out of sight, yet essential to the safety of millions above. This is life aboard a nuclear submarine, a life of isolation, intensity, and unparalleled responsibility. A life that few will ever know, but one that leaves a lasting mark on those who embrace it.